You say I'm craving hope in this darkness. You say I'm just a joke, just a joke. Shivers my spine so bad. Swimming in the river stinks too much. I'm trying to let go of us, but the truth is what's real and you want us.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I have a very special video for you today. I'm here to talk about this frame right here. So this is the Trainer Iteration 1 5-inch, or the Ti15 for short. This is a 5-inch racing frame that I've been developing for the past year, and it's finally gotten to a point where it's just checks all my boxes and I feel that it is ready for people to purchase. I'm going to start this video by just talking briefly about what the Ti15 offers. I understand that there are a lot of racing frames out there on the market, so I'm going to take a minute or two and tell you about what sets the Ti15 apart from all of those other racing frames that are on the market. The whole goal of this frame is to help improve pilot consistency by offering a similar flight feel to a quad of a different class. So I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to talk to you about what exactly I mean. In order to understand kind of the story of how the Ti15 came to be, I first need to talk about the T in the Ti15's name, and that is the word trainer. The word trainer in this thing's name is a reference to kind of just the whole idea behind this frame, kind of how this frame came to be, and that of course is a reference to the 533 Tiny Trainer. So this quad came out in spring of 2020, I believe. This frame was developed by Armando and Evan Turner over at 533, heads of FPV. And when I bought mine, I was one of the first, I pre-ordered it, and I just really enjoyed how this thing flew. I enjoyed the fact that it was squished X, and due to the fact that I did a lot of freestyle before I really got into racing in 2020, I still fly an Impulse RC Reverb as my main freestyle frame. That thing is squished X, and so having just the same kind of feel of a squished X frame in a small package like this just felt really good. That combined with the kind of the drop down camera mount they came up with in the front, giving it kind of a unique flight experience in the corners, because instead of the camera kind of rotating like this in a turn, you know, it's now rotating like that. It's kind of swinging in the turns. I just really enjoyed the way that felt, and so yeah, I flew the crap out of my Tiny Trainers. Like, I've got 4 of them now, and I fly them on a weekly basis. I've lost count of how many batteries I've put through these Tiny Trainers, but in any case, I like this thing so much that I started to see if I could find a 5-inch racing drone that flew like this thing did. And needless to say, the closest thing I came up with was actually the 533 Footy. This guy right here. Because so with the Footy, it's you can actually build it upside down like this, and it's got 2 different options for camera placement. Well, I played around a little bit of placing the camera at the bottom, and it kind of felt like the Tiny Trainer, but the only problem is that this is kind of like a freestyle, really like cinema style 5-inch frame, and it's too heavy. Pretty much, that's the long and short of it. So I needed something, you know, that was still Squish X but lighter than this. So I began working on just developing my own frame, and that's how the Ti15 was born. Let's take a minute and talk about frame specs. As I mentioned before, this is a 5-inch drone frame. The largest prop that it can run currently is the 5.1-inch props. That means it's propelled with a 5.1-inch diameter, so it's just a tiny bit wider than 5 inches. The reason being is because if you run anything bigger than a 5.1, you're going to hit the standoffs here in the back. So if you want to run like the 4.9 or 4.8-inch props, you're fine. If you run 5-inch props, you're fine. If you want to run 5.1-inch props like the R38, those will fit this frame. But you go any bigger than that, it's not going to fit in its current state. Motor to motor, it's about 210, 220 millimeters. It's a Squish X design, so the quad's going to feel a little bit more stable on roll as opposed to pitch, because the arms are just a little bit further spaced on the roll axis and a little bit closer together on the pitch axis. The arms are replaceable. It's just one screw right here, and then it just pops off and you plop a new one back on. It's got the drop down camera placement that kind of gives it that unique feel in the corners. However, if you buy this frame, you're not really interested in running this drop down camera, the standoffs are 20 millimeters apart. So if you have a camera mount that's that far apart, it'll fit this thing. There are two different variations of the arms. There's the thick and then there's the thin arms. These are the thick arms on this frame right here. The thick arms are 6 millimeters. They're 6 millimeters thick, and you have 4 16 by 16 holes for your motor screws, plus a little bit of extra material here for motor protection. So the thick arms are for those pilots who want the most durable arm on the racing frame. However, if there are people out there who maybe don't really want heavy, they want to go lightweight, then we have the thin arms, which is what this is. And as you can see, there's only 2 spots here for motor screws instead of 4. There's not as much material in the front here, and again, they're 5 millimeters thick instead of 6 millimeters thick. And again, the whole point of that is to reduce weight. Also, just a little note here, as you can see, I'm running these side panels here. They actually key into the camera mount in the front, and then you just zip tie the ends on here. It kind of makes it look like just the bigger brother of the Tiny Trainer. But again, you don't have to run these side panels here. I just ran them just because it looks pretty cool, and for Freedom spec at least, I needed the extra weight on there. You can run both analog and digital on this frame. This is an earlier prototype, and it's running this the final version of the top plate thus far. This is the HD top plate here. It's got M3 20 by 20 holes for the HD0 Race VTX. This top plate in particular was designed with a version 2 in mind, but the version 3 will obviously fit a lot easier because it's a little bit smaller. However, if you want to run any of the Whoop HD0 VTXs that are like 25 by 25, you can absolutely run that in this frame. There are M2 25 by 25 mounting holes in this top plate that you can mount to it. That's it pretty much as far as specs go. Now let's talk about who this frame is for. If this is like your first 5-inch racing drone, I think this thing will serve you very well. Just especially if you come from a freestyle background. A lot of freestyle frames out there are squished X, so the props will kind of be out of your GoPro footage. So if you're used to that style of frame, I think you'll find the switch from your freestyle squished X frame, say like an Apex, going from that to this is, I think you'll have a very easy time with that transition. Speaking of transition, one key thing that I would set out to kind of solve with this, and that is flight consistency between different classes. So typically, you know, your micro class quads don't really handle like your bigger 5-inch quads, and vice versa. And for me, at least, that inconsistency between different types of frames is really jarring and really annoying. I can really feel the differences between the two frames, and I just don't have the time to spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, days on end, getting used, like, I guess training my brain off of one and getting used to another one. So the nice thing about the Ti15 when paired with something like the Tiny Trainer is that they feel similar enough to make that switch just like that. One other thing I'll say about like who this frame's for is if you're a pilot out there who just likes to fly a wide variety of drone frames because you appreciate just how different frames, you know, feel and how they perform, then I think you'll really be happy with the Ti15. It because it has it's squished X and it has that drop down camera mount. It feels really different. It feels really unique, and I really like the way that it feels, and I think you will too.
Now let's discuss where you can buy this frame and how much it costs. As of the time of this video, you can purchase a Ti15 either at CNC Drones or 533.com. CNC Drones has both versions of the Ti15 with either the standard or HD top plate for $40 or $45. $40 for the thin arms and $45 for the thick arms, respectively. It should be noted that if you order from CNC Drones, the 3D printed parts will not be included since CNC Drones doesn't do 3D printing as of the time of this video. 533, on the other hand, does have a small batch of Ti15 thin frames with the standard top plate and all the 3D printed parts for $45 as of the time of this video. Links to both of these sites will be in the video description, as well as the link to the frame build video.
That's pretty much it for the video. Thank you very much for your time. I really hope this frame helps people become better pilots, because that's the whole reason, you know, why I made this, is not only just to help me, but I've had a lot of people in the FPV community help me out, and I wanted to kind of give back in a meaningful way by offering some people or customers a product that flies really well, and just yeah, it's a great experience to fly. So that's it for the video. Thank you very much for your time. You'll have a nice day.